Solving radical equations algebraically and graphically. Solve algebraically and confirm graphically. I'm going to show you how to solve this equation using algebra, and then I'm going to show you using your calculator, using the graphing function of your calculator. So let's get started. Whenever I have a square root, I know that I have to square both sides of the equation. Now, don't get messed up. I have to square the whole thing, not just the square root part, okay? So when I square over here, that gets rid of the square root. So I get x plus 21. But over here, I have to FOIL, just like we've been doing, because this whole thing isn't in the square root. So that'll be the square root of x plus 3 times the square root of x plus 3. The left side doesn't change for now, but now I need to FOIL. So the square root of x times the square root of x is the square root of x squared, plus, that's the first. Now I'm going to do the outside, which is 3 times the square root of x. The inside, plus 3 the square root of x. And the last, plus 9. Now, on the right side again, I'm going to simplify. Well, the square root of x squared is simply x, plus 3 the square root of x plus 3 the square root of x is 6 the square root of x, plus 9. Now I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So I'm going to get 21 equals x minus x is 0, 6 the square root of x, plus 9. I'm going to then subtract 9 from both sides of the equation. Now remember before I wanted it to equal 0. Since I still have this square root here, I'm going to have to do exactly what I did up here. I'm going to isolate the square root, square both sides, and then solve, okay? So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides of the equation. So I end up with 12 equals 6 the square root of x. Now I want to get the square root of x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 6. So I'm running out of room, so I better put this over here. So 12 divided by 6 is 2 equals the square root of x. Now once again, I need to get rid of the square root of x. So I'm going to square both sides. 2 squared is 4, and the square root of x squared is x. So I think this is my answer. But remember, we have to put it back into the original equation to make sure it really is a solution. So I'm going to write my original equation, the square root of x plus 21 equal the square root of x plus 3. Now I'm going to solve for x equals 4 to see if it works. So I'm going to have the square root of 4 plus 21. And I'm not sure, but I hope it equals the square root of 4 plus 3. Well, 4 plus 21 is actually 25. The square root of 4, oh, still a question mark, we don't know. The square root of 4 is 2 plus 3. Well, the square root of 25 is 5, and that equals 5. So, yep, x equals 4 is a solution. Now let's solve it graphically. So I'm going to go into y equals. Now the left side of my equation is going to be y1. The right side of the equation will be y2. And wherever they intersect is going to be my solution. So in y1, we're going to put the square root of x plus 21, end parentheses, enter, so we get into y2. Second, square root of x, end parentheses, because x is the only thing in the square root, plus 3. Now I'm going to graph it. Okay, I can see something's happening in here. I think I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if I look, I don't really need any of these negative x's, and I don't really need any of these negative y's. So I'm going to go into my window and change my x minimum to -1 and my y minimum to -1, and I'm going to see what we get. And now I can definitely see that there's an intersection here. So to find it, I do second calc. I go down to number 5, which is intersect. I hit enter. Now it asks me for my first curve, and it usually pops to one of the curves, but I'm just going to over arrow to make sure it's really on one of the curves. I'm going to hit it. You don't have to do it, but I do it just to make sure. Hit enter. Now it definitely goes to the other curve. Enter, and then just enter for your guess. And my intersection point is 4, 5. Now when we did it algebraically, we did figure out that x equals 4. So we must have done it right. Thank you, and be sure to check out our free math worksheet website at www.piecrust.com. Also, we now have a great site where you can pick up some really cool t-shirts at www.cafepress.com/piecrust.